ever. We got credit for having defeated ISIS and having rebuilt our military. We shouldn't have given, Sarah, we shouldn't have given $85 billion worth of equipment to the Taliban, to Afghanistan. I think the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. That whole thing was the most, when we were leaving with me. I was the one that got it down to the right number. We were going to keep the big air base, which is exactly 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. Think of that, 1 hour away, and we gave it up. We just gave it up. One of the biggest, one of the most, we spent billions and billions of dollars many years ago. The runways can hold more weight than any runway ever built. Think of that. They're, I think, 19,000 feet long, which is, 3 times what a normal runway would be. It's called Bagram. And we were going to keep that because of China, not because of Afghanistan, 1 hour away from where they make their nuclear weapons. So that was a good one. We left, and the way we got out was so embarrassing. And because of that, first of all, 13 dead soldiers. I've gotten to know their families. They're incredible families, but they'll never be the same. Many badly injured, Nobody, Sarah, nobody ever talks about the soldiers that are badly injured. They talk about 13 dead, and we always have to say that, number one, and great families. But nobody ever mentions the fact that some of the soldiers were hurt so badly, the arms, the legs, the face, like obliteration. We left American citizens behind, and they're not too happy, I can imagine. But if they're living. And we also gave them $85 billion worth of the best military equipment, all beautiful, brand new, between the goggles and the planes and the armor-plated cars. We gave them armor-plated trucks and cars and vehicles and so much. And they're one of the largest sellers now today of military equipment in the world. They're selling this stuff. 777,000 rifles and guns. Think of that. How do you have that anyway? Who would put that? We have 71,000 trucks and cars, and again, many of them armor-plated. So what happened is when Russia looked at that, they said, we're going to invade. We're going to go into Ukraine. If that didn't happen, I don't think, and I guarantee you, if the election were a straight election, we won that election, we should have won that election, everybody knew we won the election, they would have never attacked. Putin never would have attacked, but the oil prices got driven up at $100 a barrel. He made money. He's the only guy who fought a war, and you make money fighting a war, but it got driven up because of their bad energy policies. But when he saw that, and you wouldn't have had, think of this, you wouldn't have had, how different would the world be? You wouldn't have had Ukraine being attacked by Russia. You wouldn't have had October 7th in Israel, where that horrible situation took place because Iran was essentially broke. They had very little money, and we would have made a great deal with them. All we want is we don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. That's all we want. We don't want you to have a nuclear weapon. We would have made a good deal with Iran. They would have been happy. And I think they're going to end up being very unhappy, but it's very dangerous. They're very close to a nuclear weapon. And the other thing, you wouldn't have had inflation. You wouldn't have had inflation because inflation was driven up by their bad energy policy. And you remember your gasoline started going up to $5 and $6 a gallon. And then what happened is they said, oh, we're going to get killed. We have an election. We're going to get killed. And they went back to my policy. So they went back to the same. What they don't, and they say, we produce the same amount as Trump. Well, they went right back to my policy, or you would have had $25 a gallon gasoline. So they went back. What they don't say is, though, I would have been producing 4 times as much. And I took us from third into first place by a lot. But we have more liquid gold under our feet than any other country in the world, including Saudi Arabia, including Russia. And we would have been so dominant in energy. We would have, we didn't need any energy from anybody. We didn't have to protect any other countries in order to get their oil, which we've done for many years in the Middle East. We were energy independent. Sounds so beautiful to say it. We're energy independent. We were soon going to be energy dominant, and we would have been now having so much money coming